to the Shreveport Connection. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and Superstar spoilers, and of course birthdays. But the dark match main event of tonight's Raw show was advertised as John Cena, Roman Reigns, and Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Seth Rollins in a six-man tag action. The late Ted Rocco Rock Petty of the Public Enemy tag team was born September 1st, 1953. He died at the age of 49 on September 21st, 2002 after suffering a heart attack during a match. The late Bam Bam Bigelow, aka Scott Bigelow, was born September 1st, 1961 and died at the age of 45 on January 19, 2007. His death was attributed to multiple drugs that were found in his system from the autopsy. Indie wrestler KC Thunder turned 49 years old. Would he be possibly the oldest active indie wrestler? Former TNA wrestler Doug Williams, since he's not with the company anymore, well, real name Douglas Dirtle, turned 42 years old. He was born September 1st, 1972. Jimmy Rare Jr., who wrestled in WWE as Sim, Snuka, and Deuce, turned 43 years on Monday. He was born September 1st, 1971. He is the son of the WWE Hall of Famer Jimmy Superfly Snuka and the brother of WWE diva Tamina Snuka. TNA star Jeff Hardy turned 37 on Sunday. He was born August 31st, 1977. Hardy and his wife Beth have a 3-year-old daughter. Mickie James also turned 35 on Sunday. She was born August 31st, 1979. And she will be performing at the Pond Rehoboth in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware on Wednesday. Jose LeDuc, aka Michael Pigeon, was born on August 31st, 1944. He died May 1st, 1999 after developing a lung infection following a fall in the shower. Former WWE wrestler Kazarni, aka Nick Jekovic, turned 41 on Saturday. He was born August 29, 1973. He works these days as Sin Bodhi. The late Killer Kowalski, aka Edward Spoonik, died on August 30th, 2008, following a series of medical issues after a successful in-ring career. Kowalski went on to start a training school in Massachusetts where he trained Triple H, Chyna, Damien Sandow, Frankie Kazarian, Fandango, and many others. He was inducted into the National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1996. NXT performer Solomon Crowe, aka Sami Callihan, suffered a broken leg during his match at Sunday's house show. He reportedly came up lame after a head scissors maneuver in the ring, and the match ended right after that. He took to Twitter a short time later from the hospital with several updates, including his results. He said, "Chipped my tibia bone in my leg. Such a great birthday present." So happy birthday goes to him anyways, and he got #call. Follow Crow on Twitter for continued updates at WWE Crow. A very unfortunate incident for one of the most anticipated yet-to-debut wrestlers on the developmental roster. His tone on Twitter indicates that he is in good spirits, however, as he carried on by joking that he's going to be rebuilt like RoboCop. He has yet to provide a prognosis or time frame for his return. Here's wishing him a happy birthday and a speedy recovery. Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts was in a medically induced coma for roughly over 24 hours in a Las Vegas hospital after being diagnosed with double pneumonia. According to a letter written to Bill Apter of the OneWrestling.com by Roberts' attorney, Roberts was on his way to Vegas to perform at a show ran by Sin Bodhi, who wrestled in WWE as Kazarni, when he notified flight attendants of pain and shortness of breath. The letter denies reports Roberts passed out on the plane and was unconscious until doctors induced a coma. The letter also states that an abnormality was found in Jake's brain during his workup in the hospital. The initial belief is that the abnormality stems from his day's wrestling and the bumps he took, but a neurologist is looking into it. The letter denies any drug or alcohol use despite internet rumors, but haven't seen any other rumors about it being drug or alcohol related. The fact that Roberts is out of the coma as of today, I think they took him out of the coma, so he's doing pretty well. Or actually yesterday, because there was a photo posted with another current WWE wrestler, diva, I should say. The brain abnormality is cause for concern. Jake was treated for cancer in his leg in May, while he was given a clean bill of health after surgery. It is possible the cancer spread and wasn't detected until now. Let's all hope and pray the original diagnosis holds on. WWE diva Naomi tweeted an update to why we haven't seen her on TV for a while. Quote, to my fans, I had to have a minor procedure done to correct a problem from the orbital fracture. I'll be back with a whole new feel, unquote. I think Naomi versus Paige could be a pretty good match. Naomi is still pretty green, but she is a fantastic athlete, and Paige has a skill set to direct her to a good match. Good to hear she's on the mending. It also sounds like she's going to get repackaged before her return. That's also a smart move. WWE World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar is not being advertised for Raw from Des Moines, Iowa, and he is not scheduled for another Raw appearance until September 15th, the Raw before the Night of Champions pay-per-view. And here's a rare promo from WWE NXT star Kalisto for the NXT TakeOver 2 special on September 11th. R-Truth's recent interview with JournalStar.com, where he reveals he's currently at 80 to 85% with a shoulder injury. He also revealed that he and his wife are expecting a child soon. How many kids does he have? We're fixing to find out. Truth has 4 other kids and said this would be his last. So I guess he's going to have his tubes tied. WWE has allowed several of their talents to appear on podcasts for Steve Austin and Chris Jericho, but not Jim Ross. A fan on Twitter asked Ross about Ric Flair possibly appearing on the Ross Report, and JR commented with the following: no, Flair is a WWE guy. WWE hasn't approved any podcast guest for me. Unquote. And here's a video of NXT star Bull Dempsey cutting a promo for NXT 2 TakeOver. The NXT TakeOver 2 on September 11th, as Bull will be facing Mojo Rawley. Tyson Kidd also cuts a promo, so I'll do a double link there for each one of them. As Kidd will be facing Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn, and NXT champion in a fatal 4-way. And the champion is Adrian Neville. WWE's Brad Maddox was sitting front row for Pro Wrestling Guerrillas Battle of Los Angeles event this past Friday night in Reseda, California. Maddox also has done some stand-up comedy in the past week. Chris Jericho began filming Comedy Central's Code 5 show this past week, and his character's name is Blackstone. Jericho plays the character officer name of Chance Blackstone, described as a loose cannon. This is the same Comedy Central digital series that Deadline.com reported back in June. Rumored to be titled Team Tiger Awesome, Jericho's by-the-book partner is played by Nick Mundy. And I'll post a photo at the end of the video of his character. As noted, real-life couple Lana and Rusev are vacationing in Hawaii this week. They hung out with actor Woody Harrelson, singer-songwriter Willie Nelson, and Chris Christopherson in Maui. And I'll also post a photo of that at the end of the video. NXT diva Sasha Banks has a new theme song called Sky's the Limit. It was done by CFO $, and is available on iTunes. So go to iTunes and download it. Of course, there's probably a fee for that download. WWE taped the following matches in Des Moines, Iowa. Alicia Fox versus Emma. Sin Cara versus Jess and Gabriel. Took me 2 days to get the results for this. I finally found it online. And here's the results. The following matches were taped prior to Monday's edition of Raw, Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa, for this week's edition of Superstars. Alicia Fox defeated Emma in Divas action to open up the show. This was said to be your basic Divas match, nothing special. Sin Cara defeated Jess and Gabriel in the main event of the show. This match was supposedly a pretty good match, with Sin Cara and Gabriel hitting a lot of high spots. The woman at ringside as the Miz's makeup artist on Raw with Damian Sandow, or I should say Mizdow, from tonight's Raw, and was indie wrestler Sarah Crazy Mary Dobson Bridges. Brie Bella answered fan questions on Twitter during the tapings and tonight to promote Total Divas, and noted that she would like to feud with NXT Women's Champion Charlotte in the future. And for the pre-show, that was on the network, footage of the fans entering the arena from Des Moines, Iowa, was shown in Stamford, Connecticut studios. Byron Saxton, Booker T, and Alex Riley hosted the pre-show. In addition to the previously advertised Randy Orton appearance on Chris Jericho's highlight reel, the host also pitched a Growing Up Bella segment for Raw. Paul Heyman will appear on Raw advertised as the panel questioned what he will have to say about Brock Lesnar. Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus versus The Miz and Cesaro was announced for Raw. Backstage at Raw, Renee Young interviewed Ziggler and Sheamus about their tag match and asked if they had a plan. Ziggler said it was to win. He went into Road Warrior Hulk mode while turning it over to Sheamus, who seemed to be in Hulk Hogan mode more than the Road Warrior Animal mode. Of course, I could be mistaken as to what they were actually doing or going for. The show concluded with the panel delivering their typically worthless, bold predictions for Raw. Booker said, "You will want to remember where you were at this moment, date and time, because Raw will be excellent." Riley predicted the heel team would win the tag match, and Saxton noted that the highlight reel would kick off Raw as they ended the pre-show. And of course, live from Des Moines, Iowa, at the Wells Fargo Arena. Starts off Raw. Chris Jericho set in the ring for the highlight reel, while Michael Cole saw Jerry the King Lawler and JBL checked in on commentary. JBL said Jericho always holds out for the fan reaction. "I'm bored already," JBL said. Jericho was about to introduce Randy Orton as his guest, but he was interrupted by some music. Triple H's music played. Triple H, Randy Orton, Kane, and Seth Rollins all walked onto the stage wearing suits. "This is how you kick off Monday Night Raw," JBL commented. Jericho looked at the foursome once they entered the ring and said he was expecting Orton to come out alone. "I wasn't expecting you to bring out your law firm of sell out, suck up, and schnoz." Triple H said Jericho has never grown up. "I mean that both figuratively and literally," Hunter said. Jericho mocked that he's just a whittle guy. Jericho said he's confused because Hunter normally doesn't conduct important business in the ring unless his wife is being thrown in jail. Hunter mocked Jericho's scarf. Jericho mocked Hunter's pink tie. Hunter said it was Violet Nimrod. Whenever I heard it, I thought he was talking about Violet. That was Violet with his comment. Hunter said he watched the SummerSlam match and listened to the experts. He said having a Brock Lesnar versus John Cena rematch might not be the best for business. Hunter then said he is contemplating coming up with a new number one contender for Night of Champions. Jericho acted shocked and then said, "You mean you can get a WWE network for $9.99? The crowd laughed. Jericho turned his focus to the possibility of someone other than Cena getting the title shot. Orton made his case. Kane said maybe he will open the gates of hell, or maybe the future has already arrived, Rollins said. And the crowd came to life for Rollins. Cole quickly pointed out that Rollins is from Iowa. where Raw was being held, and Jericho started to make a case for himself. And then John Cena's music played, and he walked to the ring without the usual entrance music or routine. Once inside the ring, Cena paced back and forth before asking Hunter what the hell he was talking about. Cena says that just because Hunter's friend Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels don't think that he can beat Brock Lesnar doesn't mean he won't. He said he also believed that he couldn't beat Triple H at WrestleMania 22, but he tapped out. Cena said he could go back and watch that match for $9.99. Cena said that he would sue Hunter for every penny he has if he doesn't get his rematch as he signed a deal. He said he would take over Hunter's job and fire him. Cena told Hunter to save himself a headache and his job. Cena stated again that he's not just going to beat Brock Lesnar, he's going to beat his ass. All I can say is, wow, Hunter said. This is actually where you're at with this. Triple H mocked the idea of Cena suing. Hunter said he may not feel that John Cena's World Heavyweight Champion is best for business anymore, but Cena's career ending at the hands of Lesnar at Night of Champions is not best for business at all. Rollins said he'd let Cena have his match. If an opportunity should present itself, there's always the plan B. Rollins said in reference to his Money in the Bank briefcase, Orton asked whatever happened to his rematch from way back at WrestleMania. Jericho said it's still the highlight reel and Orton has had 4,000 title matches and never succeeded. Jericho recalled Roman Reigns beating Orton at SummerSlam. Orton said that the loss and Reigns mean nothing. He said if Reigns were there, he would drop him on the spot. Reigns' music hit, and out he comes and almost goes face to face with him. But that didn't happen. Reigns entered the ring and looked at Orton. Well, here I am, Randy, he said. Drop me. Reigns told Triple H that his name belongs in the mix for a title shot. Hunter said it seemed like everyone in the ring thought he's the guy. Hunter said he doesn't know if he or even Cena believes in Cena's resolve. Hunter said he would give everyone in the ring a chance to prove themselves in a six-man with Cena, Reigns, and Jericho versus Rollins, Orton, and Kane in a six-man tag. Let's see who can earn their spot, Hunter said. Let's see who can prove it. I'll sit right down here, ringside, and I'll be watching. Hunter left the ring. Rollins tried to hit Reigns with his briefcase, but Reigns saw it coming and punched Rollins, then threw the briefcase at him. Cole saw hype Mark Henry and Big Show versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in tag action. Footage was shown of Miz attacking Sheamus on SmackDown. Then the broadcast team hyped Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler versus Miz and Cesaro for later in the show as well. Backstage segment, Sheamus and Ziggler were shown walking as they go into a commercial break. The crowd was fairly live for most of that segment, but they were pretty quiet after the six-man tag match was announced. The tease for the possibility of Cena not getting the title shot is interesting. I still assume that the match is still on, but it almost seemed like they were trying to go back and act like Cena might not be in Superman mode. But even though he was clearly last week, the 20-minute segment overstayed its welcome, as they probably could have accomplished everything they did and had a better segment had they trimmed it by 5 minutes. So match number 1, Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro and The Miz. With Miz down. Miz wore shades in the corner as Cesaro got things started for his team. Ziggler chased Miz off the apron. He sat down in a chair and got water from Cesaro, as well as makeup touch-up from an unnamed woman. Miz entered the match and was roughed up until Cesaro made a blind tag and caught Sheamus with a drop kick heading into a commercial break. Ziggler took the hot tag and a nice run of offense on Miz that woke up the crowd again. Cesaro and Sheamus ended up at the ringside. Ziggler went for the famouser, but Miz fled the ring. Action, Sandow yelled before entering the ring. With Ziggler distracted, Miz grabbed him from behind and hit the skull-crushing finale for the win. The Miz and Cesaro defeated Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus in 11 minutes 20 seconds. Somehow, playing the role of Alex Riley actually feels like an upgrade for Sandow compared to what he had been doing. I like the way the Coleslaw questioned how Sandow's distraction was fair. JBL and Lawler praised it, and Coleslaw actually sounded off against the heels cheating for once. Footage from last week's Raw aired of Nikki Bella chewing her bad extra sister, Brie Bella. They included the "I wish you had died in the womb" line. Grow up, Bella time. Nikki's promo photo was shown. Nikki said her prom date, Ryan, disappeared. She said she found Ryan in the parking lot with Brie. She said she went home and cried her eyes out, but she never told anyone that. Everything Nikki says about Brie makes Brie out to be the worst person alive. Last week, Brie just did an awful job of trying to cry. She really needs to shoot down the things that have her sister saying about her, or viewers will be left wondering whether there's truth in what Nikki is saying. By the way, I get the feeling that creative is way more excited about the Bella's feud than the fan base is. Match number 2, Naomi, Summer Rae, and Layla versus Rosa Mendez, Eva Marie, and Cameron. The match was thrown out quickly when all 6 divas fought in the ring. The babyface trio. Naomi's team sent the heels to ringside after the match. And the entire match lasted 1 minute. And the decision was no contest. The match was all about the broadcast team pimping the premiere of Total Divas for Sunday night. It still managed to be lousy in just 1 minute. Footage aired from last week of Roman Reigns trying to throw a cinder block at Seth Rollins. Broadcast team hyped the 6-man tag main event and reminded viewers that Triple H would be at ringside trying to determine who will be in the ring with Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions. Lawler hyped Henry and Show versus Rowan and Harper for after the commercial break. And then we got Mark Henry and Big Show versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Lawler marveled at Henry and Show being billed at a combined weight of 824 pounds. The Wyatt family received the cell phone treatment. Yet there wasn't much of a vocal crowd reaction. They cut to a break roughly at 2 minutes 30 seconds in. After the break, Rusev and Lana walked out and stood in the aisle. Harper and Rowan then isolated Show, who eventually fought his way out. There was actually a sexual chocolate chant from the crowd. Then again, there were also Macho Man and Ric Flair impersonators in the front row. Who says Iowa is behind the times? Henry took a tag and worked over Harper and slammed him. Rowan broke the pin attempt. Show shoved Rowan over the top rope and chased him to the ringside. Back inside the ring, Henry went for his finisher, but Rusev entered the ring and caught Henry with a kick for the disqualification. Big Show chased off the Wyatt family members with a chair and helped Henry back to his feet inside the ring. And the match took 11 minutes to get the disqualification. I am as baffled as everyone else when it comes to the way Wyatt family members have been secondary players in WWE. I guess the Rusev versus Henry feud is back on this week. Another Growing Up Bella segment aired. Nikki taking the driver's test when she was 16. Nikki said she passed and Brie failed. She said her mom bought them a car. Nikki said she drove them around everywhere and had fun. And then went on, as Nikki said, Brie stole the car and her driver's license, then got in an accident and gave the police Nikki's license, but I never told anyone, as Nikki concluded. Coleslaw hyped John Cena segment for after the break. At what point does Nikki start acting like a heel rather than a borderline sympathetic figure? Cut NFL player Michael Sam was invited to appear on next week's Raw. Broadcast team said that the first open gay NFL player deserved to be on the roster or a practice squad, and they would give him an open mic if he accepts their invitation. Well, they've removed all their comments after all that from Twitter and Facebook or whatever, as he has also been accepted to the Dallas Cowboys practice squad. WWE would certainly get a lot of media attention if Sam takes them up on the offer. Heck, I'm sure they'll get some just for issuing the invitation, since ESPN reports all things Sam, including his locker room showering habits. That being said, I'll be surprised if Sam takes them up on the offer if he's still focused on making an NFL team, as he should be given his talent It's hard enough for him to get looks from NFL teams due to his perception that he brings the media circus to town with him. And appearing on Raw wouldn't help that. That being said, if he chooses to move a different direction, then why not take the payday? A brief John Cena video was shown. Paul Heyman was introduced, and he delivered a promo while standing on the stage. Formal introductions by the ring announcer, and then I am Paul Heyman. Yeah, bull crap. And Heyman said Cena didn't listen to Reason from Hall of Fame panel last week, nor did he listen to Reason when Triple H spoke to him earlier. Heyman said Cena is so desperate to hold on to the image of the fans have of him, and that's why he'll be spectacular in the main event of Raw. Heyman said you should stack the entire locker room together and multiply it by infinity, and still wouldn't equate to half the brutality that Cena will be subjected to when he steps into the ring with Lesnar at Night of Champions. Broadcast team then hyped the Lesnar vs. Cena rematch for Night of Champions as the graphic was shown. Cole saw question whether Heyman was right. Lawler said you can't believe what Heyman says. JBL reminded viewers that Triple H said he would observe what happens in the main event. Jack Swagger makes his entrance as a commercial break. I guess they want the Cena fans to stay up late to make sure that their guy gets his match. It's really strange to hear Hunter say that he'll observe what happens in the main event before making up his mind, only to have graphics promoting the match anyways. Footage here from SmackDown of Bo Dallas throwing in a towel for Jack Swagger during his match with Rusev from last week's SmackDown. So we get match number 4 finally on Raw. Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter's return versus Curtis Axel. Chairs were set up on the stage, so as Bo Dallas stood smiling in front of them with a mic in his hand, 2 men and a woman sat down in the chairs behind Bo. In the ring, Axel threw a nice drop kick. Then Swagger rolled to ringside for a moment. Cole and Swagger said that he's been missing the motivation that Zeb provides. Swagger went to him for the Swagger bomb, but Axel put his foot up. Swagger spotted it and stopped the move, and instead applied the Patriot Lock for the win. And the match took 2 minutes 35 seconds. After the match, Bo Dallas congratulated Swagger on his win and said he had something he wanted to show him. He whipped out his bonus. No, that's not what happened. He introduced the first fan, Ricky, and said he was a farmer who bet an entire month's salary on Swagger, then went double or nothing and lost his farm. Bo introduced Angelo and said he was an up-and-coming singer who immigrated to the country a few years ago. Bo said Angelo was also disappointed by Swagger's performances, that he failed his citizenship test and is being deported. Bo then introduced a female fan as Jennifer. She said her son's favorite wrestler was Swagger, but now he idolizes Vladimir Putin. And then they showed the Putin photo on the screen, and Dallas had the trio stand up with him, put their hands on their hearts, and said, all you have to do is believe. I love the Bo Dallas character, and even though I thought it was the shits, for the matter, pretty much sums up my feelings on the first half of Raw. Monday Night Football starts next week, and so far the only compelling thing the company has going for next week involves Michael Sam. Guess what? That ain't happening either. Match number 5, Adam Rose finally returns to on-show Raw after a few weeks to a month, and he faced Titus O'Neil with Heath Slater. The Rosebuds danced to the ring with Rose. The bunny that accompanies Rose hopped towards Slater during the match and punched him. Bunny got up and threw repeated punches at Slater. Rose rolled up and distracted Titus and pinned him. And the match took 2 minutes. The bunny silliness got a decent reaction from the crowd. It's one of those things we get a kick out of if Raw was really clicking. But on this show, it just felt like sports entertainment garbage. Growing up Bella Ciao McGing, as Nikki said, Brie almost didn't graduate. Nikki said Brie had her switch places with her and take her final exam for her, but I never told anyone, she said. And that's how Twin Magic was born. Rusev and Lana made their entrance for their match. The WWE Network commercial aired. Broadcast team hyping the network in the Attitude Era week. JBL actually said all pay-per-views are included, which is much better than the odd call of listing certain shows. Lana delivered a promo about how Russia celebrated a day of knowledge while the Americans celebrated Labor Day. In other words, she started before saying she was struggling to come up with the American words, "you suck." So we get match number 6 of Raw. Rusev versus Zack Ryder. How many times are they going to face off? It only took Lana 40 seconds to tell Rusev to crush him. He did and won with the accolade in 50 seconds. After the match, Mark Henry's music played while Lana and Rusev were celebrating in front of the giant Russian flag. Henry entered the ring and Rusev fled to ringside. JBL said he didn't expect to see that and questioned what Rusev was afraid of. Henry took the mic and accused Rusev of being afraid, then said he was afraid of what he would do to Rusev if he's got his hands on him. He said he's the strongest man in the strongest country. Henry said Rusev thinks he's invincible because he's undefeated. Guess what? He's not undefeated anyways. He's lost a few matches here and there, but I guess nobody's paying attention. I don't think any fans are paying attention. Well, I am. Henry said he just opened an international wing in his Hall of Fame, and Rusev will be the first entrant. Henry's music played, and while JBL said he wants to see Henry beat the Russian and have Old Glory fly above the ring again. Backstage segment with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon speaking about Bella's segment. Stephanie said that her door is always open for their employees who have problems. She said that the opportunity to give back is in front of her. Hunter says Stephanie has a big heart and is trying to help everyone. Stephanie giggled and said she can't wait to see Nikki's face when she makes the big announcement. As they go to commercial, a decent promo for Henry followed by a cutesy backstage exchange from Hunter and Stephanie. I don't have high hopes for Steph's announcement, but that wasn't even announced, so it will be saved for SmackDown. But it was a solid hook heading into a commercial break. Footage of Nikki attacking Brie on last week's Raw was shown. Stephanie McMahon came to the ring and applauded Nikki for having the courage to tell her story. She invited Nikki to join her in the ring. Nikki came out to the usual entrance music and received no reaction whatsoever. Nikki thanked Stephanie for the opportunity to get things out about Brie off of her chest. A boring chant started. Stephanie was quick on her feet and said the audience understands how it feels to be weak and be in the shadow of people greater than they are, and that she is. It quieted the boring chants, but it just brought the crowd back to silence. Stephanie told Brie that she's proud of her. And then Stephanie brought up being a mother of 3 daughters and thank God that there isn't a Brie among them. Stephanie said Nikki is the face she is looking for in the Divas division, and thus she granted her a Divas Championship match. Nikki hugged Stephanie, and the Bella Twins music played again. And then Stephanie called the music to be cut off and said that will not be her music anymore, because that's reserved for Nikki from this day forward. Brie told Stephanie that it doesn't involve her. Brie said Nikki is tearing apart their family and questioned for what. Nikki said she was doing it for herself. The boring chant started up again. Nikki brought up Brie's goat-faced husband. AJ Lee's music played and she skipped to the ring. CM Punk chant started. As she's greeted by Stephanie and saying, "Hi, boss lady." Lee said she is number 1 contender because she never got her rematch. She told Stephanie to let the Bella Twins work out their issues on their own time and leave the Divas Championship to her. Stephanie thanked Lee and said that she always enjoys being enlightened. Paige's music played and she skipped to the ring. She said there was a lot of talk about the Divas Championship, but the thing missing was the Bloody Divas Champion. Nikki said that she would forgive Nikki if she quit. She said Brie should go back and have troll babies with Daniel Bryan. Bree teased leaving, and then Bree started yelling at her to go and leave her alone. Bree turned around and shoved her down, which knocked down Paige as well in the process. Bree left the ring to go make troll babies, as the fans chanted yes. AJ Lee picked up the Diva Championship belt and skipped around the ring with it. As to her music playing, Stephanie cut off Lee's skipping by standing in front of her and demanded the gold be handed back to her for the Diva Championship, and the fans chanted no. Now, Stephanie demanded. Lee smiled and let Stephanie take it. Then they exchanged a tense look, and then AJ left the ring. Then they come a commercial break. Can't believe how much time that they were giving the Bella Twins breakup angle. The Bella portion of the segment was really bad, though I imagine the only thing that the people responsible for writing it will remember is the fans chanting yes. At the end, it was if somehow negates the boring chant, midly intrigued by the AJ Lee and Stephanie McMahon tease. WWE main event will feature Dolph Ziggler as the special guest on the Miz TV talk show. Wow. Footage was shown of Brie Bella shoving her sister into Paige. Broadcast team then spoke about the Diva segment. Cole saw hype that the Raw will be in Baltimore next week, and then announced Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt in a cage match for next week's Raw. Backstage, Bray Wyatt said it's time for Chris Jericho to pay for his sins. Run, Wyatt concluded. I really thought that they would save that match for the pay-per-view. That being said, at least they have something advertised for next week's show, which goes head-to-head with the ESPN Monday Night Football doubleheader. Match number 7, Jimmy Uso with Jey Uso versus the Goldust with Stardust. Cole saw noted that Jay's knee was heavily taped due to the Goldust and Stardust attack from last week. There footage of Uso selling any injury and being counted out before the match, and Goldust took the mic and started to apologize for what happened last week, but the Uso brothers attacked them. Goldust Stardust fought them to a quick off quickly, and the match got underway. At ringside, Stardust kicked Jay's injured knee. Jimmy dove onto him, but was kicked in the head. When he tried to enter the ring, Goldust hit the final cut and scored the pin. After the match, Goldust and Stardust picked up the injured Jay at ringside and worked over his knee. Stardust picked up the chair and slammed it in on the bad knee as they had him inside the ring with a leg going across the ring post. And the match took 2 minutes 10 seconds. Broadcasting team then narrated footage of Dean Ambrose's injury angle in last week's handicap match with Seth Rollins and Kane versus Roman Reigns. Then they go to commercial. Jimmy sold the hell out of the chair shot to his knee. He cried out in unbelievable agony and was still slamming his hand on the ringside mat and crying out while trainers tended to him on the floor. The only negative is that they damaged the effect by having the broadcast team scripted to move on rather than to cut to commercial. Total Divas commercial aired for Sunday's premiere. The broadcast team acted excited, and Cole saw excitedly hyped that Rosa Mendez joins the cast, which means nothing to viewers unless they happen to have the hots for her. Let's face it, it's not like her character has meant anything lately on WWE TV. Just wait for your WWE main event. You might be interested in that one. I might even post a photo of it, of what happened. I just say, it's an arse main event. Okay, backstage, Big Show told Henry he's proud of him for running off Rusev. Show said he doesn't want Henry to forget about their deal to be the most dominant team. Henry said he has to get Rusev first. Show said he will be in Rusev's corner. Henry said, you don't have to do that. I can do it. He has to do it himself. Show looked at it a little bit bothered, but then yelled about how Henry should go get him and put him in the Hall of Fame. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon made their entrance as the crowd sat on their hands. Well, I didn't get to see the last part of the main event of Raw. I was having cable satellite problems. And had to do some other stuff while that was going on, so I didn't get to see it. Yeah, it messed up like 2 or 3 different times. Backstage, okay, I already did the backstage. Okay, footage aired on the setup for the 6-man tag main event from earlier. John Cena made his entrance. They all 3 made singles entrances. Roman Reigns made his. Cole saw hyped Paige versus Brie Bella on Friday's SmackDown TV show. And then Cole saw hyped Reigns versus Randy Orton for next week's Raw. The remainder of the ring entrances for the main event took place. Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Chris Jericho versus Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, and Kane. Reigns and Orton started the match, and the fans chanted, "We want Rollins for the hometown guy." The fans got their wish when Reigns pulled Rollins over the top rope and into the ring. Reigns roughed up all 3 heels and stood tall heading into a commercial break. Back from the break, the Michael Sam invitation video package aired again. JBL said he would also like to see the NFL commissioners show up and debate Sam. What would Roger Goodell and Michael Sam have to debate? It's not like Goodell has been critical of Sam in any way, what I've ever seen. Well, Reigns sold for the heel trio. Orton roughed up Reigns and played to the fans for heat as the broadcast team hyped their match for next week's Raw. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were shown talking and smiling at ringside, but Orton was in control. And then they had their straight faces when Reigns managed to tag in Jericho. Jericho applied the walls of Jericho on Rollins only to have Orton break it up. And then Reigns hit him with a Superman punch. Kane choked Sam Reigns. Cena hit the attitude adjustment on Kane. And Rollins caught Cena with a springboard knee. Jericho rolled up Rollins for the show cut to a commercial, even though Jericho had just performed his finisher. Jericho was battling Orton coming out of the break. Lawler said Cena was pleading to get into the match from his corner. Footage was shown of Jericho covering Rollins after a code breaker, only to have Orton pull him out of the ring. Rollins checked in and jumped off the top rope into a drop kick from Jericho. Kane checked in and prevented Jericho from tagging in Cena. As it goes past the 10 o'clock hour, they overrun from the results from the internet. Jericho continued to sell for the heels. JBL said he can't stand Jericho's talk show. Cena finally took the hot tag from Jericho at 20 minutes 10 seconds and got the better of Kane. Then performed a German suplex on Rollins. Cena scooped up Kane, gave the "you can't see me" hand gesture to the Authority, and put him down with the attitude adjustment. "Is that enough?" Cena said. Cena tagged in Reigns and performed a spear on Kane and covered him for the 3 count. And the main event took 21 minutes and 5 seconds. After the match, Cena went to ringside and jawed at Triple H. Cena picked up Rollins, glared at Hunter, and gave Rollins the attitude adjustment on the broadcast team table. "I will see Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions," Cena told Hunter. Cena's music then played. Cena returned to the ring to celebrate the win. Cole saw hype with the Michael Sam invitation for next week's Raw, as well as Reigns versus Orton and Jericho versus Wyatt in a steel cage. Coleslaw said that Cena showed the Authority and the world that he is ready for Brock Lesnar at Night of Champion pay-per-view. Cena went to ringside and grabbed a sign. He returned to the ring and held up a "Tag Me In" sign. A good 6-man main event, albeit a predictable outcome. That being said, it was one of those predictable outcomes that certainly worked for the live crowd. As the pop of the night occurred when Cena took the hot tag, I'm not sure they needed to go this route, with Cena needing to prove himself again after he destroyed everyone he came in contact with last week, but they executed it well in the main event. Overall, this was a very flat show until the main event. Mid-card programs have mostly basic storylines that are very not compelling. The Bella Twins are getting way too much TV time, but I suppose we better get used to it, since Total Divas returns this weekend. And like I said, either last week or previous week, there will be a wardrobe malfunction for a certain diva on the show. Well, it was most of those, one of those nights I found myself looking at the clock hoping that the Marathon Divas returned this weekend. It was one of those nights where it was you would hope it's just the end. I will have much more to say later on in the next video of SmackDown. Well, that's going to be it. I didn't get any dark match main event because it should have been right there in the. I should have ended it and sent the crowd home happy. Well, thanks again for watching. See you where I want to be at. And if you didn't know, you better call me, bro.